Alrighty. Okay, so what we have is the video breakdown that we are going to do of. Ooh, let's see if that works. Of the read I did on Tuesday. So every Tuesday I do a practice read from Tara Platt and Yuri Lowenthal's book, Voiceover Voice Actor. And I do that, just to keep in shape, basically, and to make sure that I'm doing the right things. So what I'm going to do today, and what I'm hoping to do every Friday, is to do a little live stream where I look back at what I did on Tuesday, hopefully now with fresher eyes, and get an idea of what I did right, what I did wrong, and kind of explain what was going on. So the first thing I wanted to make sure, though, is that, that decided it was just going to... Well, that's not awesome. Why did it do that? I didn't even go anywhere near this thing. And it just decided, yep, you're going to be a different size. Okay, give me 2 seconds to go to my desktop where I have the computer, and I can actually take a look at that. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, that was really weird. And once again, my technological leprosy has struck. So, I don't know how that happened, but not going to worry about it. What I'm going to do now is we're going to start playing through. So this was a PSA read for diabetes. It's just a generic script. And we'll take a look here. So, a reading from the book of Tara and Yuri. Yep. Okay. All right, so right here, so we know it's a PSA commercial, which is a public service announcement, and the spec that was listed in the script was personal, confessional, and genuine. So obviously for this kind of PSA, they don't want something overly bombastic. And if you think of most PSAs that you see on television or hear on the radio, this is kind of typical, right? You think of like the Sarah McLachlan song for the ASPCA commercials, which are just like, oh God, no, can't ever watch them. Anything where people are asking for money or awareness, this is kind of typical. So they want to be able to have a sound that is going to be able to connect with someone and tug on the heartstrings. So personal, confessional, genuine, hoping that in one of my takes, at least one of my takes, I was able to hit all three of those. So let's do here. I still remember the smell of smoke on a crisp, cool autumn evening, the sounds of laughter coming from the house, my sister and me eating fudge and marshmallows. Okay, so I'm trying to remember here. First impressions. I think this was what one of my coaches would call this is what the read would sound like after I got hired. This might be this could be this could be something that you would hear actually in a finished commercial. But the problem with that is that it it doesn't always get you the gig if it sounds too generic. So right away, my feeling is like they're not a strong enough choice to really get attention. My guess is that I paused here because maybe the sentence was long and I was having trouble just getting through, and I wanted to take another shot at getting the pacing right, because you don't want to sound like you're out of breath by the end of the sentence. So let's keep on listening here. I still remember the smell of smoke on a crisp, cool autumn evening, the sounds of laughter coming from the house, my sister and me eating fudge and marshmallows till our tummies hurt. All right, so two things here that came to mind as I'm watching this again. First thing, you saw at the very beginning, I was closing my eyes. One of the big things that all of my coaches have hit me over the head with a few times, and rightfully so, is that you really need to be able to see whatever it is that you're focusing on. If you're just reading the script and you're trying to go through the hit those specs, a lot of times it's going to be almost like play acting. It's not going to quite hit the right way. Think of like, an okay actor, which I don't even know if I'd qualify as, but an okay actor you see on television versus someone like Meryl Streep or Anne Hathaway, who gets really method and gets really into the moment. What they're doing is they're really going after a personal moment that they're calling back on for that emotional cue. So in this case, what I was trying to do was to tap into memories of one of my dogs, of Owen. Owen was the Labrador that my wife and I adopted right after we got back from our honeymoon. And he was my best bud. He was my travel buddy. He was a great, great dog, but we lost him to lymphoma in 2015, and it was heart-wrenching. And it was a heart-wrenching 6 months. So that was the emotional cues that I was going for. The first part, basically what I did with the script is I divided it into 3 sections, beginning, middle, and end, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to tell a story. And naturally, as humans who are attracted and are motivated by story, we naturally want a beginning, a middle, and an end. So in the beginning part, I was hearkening back to good memories of Owen. I was thinking about when we went on hikes together. Specifically, there was a hike that we did, just the two of us. Man, probably about an 8-mile hike up in the Poconos, and it was a ton of fun, and I was just remembering his just exuberance for life. So that's what I was going for. And you noticed I put like a little laugh in there. It just felt natural in the moment. And even though in the final read that might not be what they want, it could be in the audition something that sets me apart, because it's like, oh, wait, there's a moment there. So that's what I'm trying to capture. Right away, I'm going to say this has already been a stronger read than my very first go. Maybe could still make a stronger choice. I don't know, but this is kind of where I'm at. So let's keep going here. I lost my sister to her fight against diabetes almost 2 years ago, and it could have been prevented. Okay, so now we're in the middle part. We've made an emotional transition. Okay, we've gone from this really happy memory to, and now they're gone. So obviously, if I'm remembering back to that, I was thinking about when we got the diagnosis for Owen, when he got lymphoma. I didn't necessarily think, and I might probably thinking about how much I miss him. I wasn't necessarily going for the night that we lost him, because I think that would have been too far, because this isn't supposed to be a tear-jerking PSA. It's supposed to tug on the heartstrings, and so that's what I was going for. I don't know if I hit that or not. One thing that also just stuck out to me right there was focusing on making sure that I'm pronouncing the words properly without over-enunciating. So it's very common for anyone, really, when we say the word to say the word t instead. We're going to the shore, right? And there's times in voiceover where that is acceptable and times where it's not. I try to straddle the line where I'm not going over the top like I would for maybe like corporate or e-learning narration, but I also don't want to get too casual with it, because personal, confessional, genuine still to me isn't necessarily like fully conversational talking to my buddy. So I wanted to I just did it. That's what kind of sticks in my head about that, but let's keep going. With almost 8% of the U.S. population currently diagnosed with diabetes, there's no time like the present to deal with this growing disease. Okay, so now I'm starting to make a little bit of another emotional shift. I'm still thinking that I think the way I marked this was that I'm still in the middle of the story, so we're still in that middle section, but I'm transitioning from this bad thing and now I'm kind of remorseful to, hang on, we could have prevented this. This could have changed. Um, by hitting on those stats, but without making it like I don't want to bash you with it. Not like a politician, I guess. I'm trying to avoid that. So that's kind of where I was with that. So we're going to transition into the end. So we've done beginning, we've gotten through the middle. So beginning was, hey, I have this really nice memory. I'm having some nice nostalgia here too. Yeah, but I really miss this person in my life, and it could have been prevented. So now we're going to get more into, I think, moving forward. Now more than ever, we need your support to fund. So I don't know why I tripped up there, but obviously something didn't, work properly as I was trying to say that. So that's get you stuck right there. But you can hear the transition now to more confident, more, hey, no, we can do this together. Now more than ever, we need your support to fund vital diabetes research. And so right away, I really slurred now more than ever. It was now more than ever. And I was way too quick with that. I think in another take I slowed that down. But I was trying to hit on, and this is where the balance comes in. The gold standard right now is the quote unquote conversational read. You don't want to sound like a radio announcer from the 50s or 60s, or even like maybe 10, 15 years ago. You don't want to sound like radio imaging. You don't want to sound like a car commercial. Those can be very announcy sometimes. The more like the regional used car stuff. If you listen to a lot of even national car commercials, very still conversational. Kind of like Tough Guy. Think of like a lot of commercials where you hear John Krasinski doing the voiceover. He's actually referenced a lot in a lot of specs that I see. But I can say right there, didn't like how I slurred it, but I am liking how I'm hitting on some kind of the key words to drive that home without being too over the top, I think. This is, again, just initial thought. Save the future of our children. So, obviously not happy with that. Getting back down to that first emotion. I still remember the smell of smoke on a crisp, cool autumn evening. The sounds of laughter coming from the house. My sister and me eating fudge and marshmallows till our tummies hurt. All right, so stronger choice at the beginning. I like that a little bit better. So right now, take 2 is leading, which isn't uncommon. The first one's almost kind of like a warm-up. I did hear myself running out of breath. Now, I know I ran out of breath because I did the read and I remember it, but I can also hear it. So that's something I know I sometimes struggle with commercial reads, is getting that proper breath in there. So that way, or timing it however I'm going to do it, to make sure I don't run out of breath right at the end. It wasn't terrible, but I could hear it. So my feeling is that if this is going in front of, if I were to be sending this in and it's going in front of someone who's casting. So I'll say here's like the difference, at least in my mind. If I'm sending this to like a marketing person who just happens to be the person who's casting, and this isn't casting voiceover isn't like their thing, right? They may not even pick up on that. So it wouldn't be an issue. But were I sending this to a casting director, or were this being sent through my agent to a casting director, or an audio engineer, anyone who does voiceover casting on a regular basis and knows how all this works, they might hear that. I don't know if that's a deal breaker. It may or may not be, but it is definitely something I would want to try to avoid because I want to sound professional. And if I'm not sounding professional, like, oh, wait, he doesn't have his breath together, that could be the difference. And it might not even be that direct. It could be something much more subtle than that. They're not pointing that out, but they hear 2 reads from me and someone else that are very similar. And there's just that one thing, I like this guy a little bit better. And it could be something as little as that. So I know that's something I need to work on. So let's keep going here. Big breath. Resetting. Okay. I still remember the smell of smoke on a crisp, cool autumn. Nope. See, I lost my breath there again. I still remember the smell of smoke on a crisp, cool autumn evening. The sounds of... Come on, breath. See? Okay. I still remember the smell of smoke on a crisp, cool autumn evening. The sounds of laughter coming from the house. My sister and me eating fudge and marshmallows till our tummies hurt. So, I slurred autumn on that one. And I don't know how I feel about that last little part about eating marshmallows till our tummies hurt. It felt a little red to me as opposed to conversational. So it might be a case, because I like the laugh in there. So if I were to be sending this in for a full-on audition, I might have taken the first part of this and then pasted in. I might have taken that last sentence or the last part of that sentence from my first take and pasted that in, because I did like that from the first take. I lost my sister to her fight against diabetes. So right away, I heard lost my sister. I know that's not what I said. I said I lost. But again, just that, it sounds like I said it incorrectly, and it drives me nuts. I hear it in commercials now. Specifically, it's the Progressive commercial, and it's the new one they're doing with Flo, and it has John Hamm in it, and it's a pretty funny commercial. And he's like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about it over dinner sometime. And the line she says is, well, I don't usually talk on the phone during dinner, but for prospective customer Tom Hamm, I'll make an exception. And the joke is that she messes up his name, that here, she's basically big-timing John Hamm. But the way the delivery is, the phone is kind of slurred, so it almost sounds like she's saying, I usually don't talk on phone during dinner. And now, it's a little thing, but I heard it, but that's because that's what I'm listening for in commercials. I'm trying to see what's happening in commercials. And it bothers me that I don't hear the phone, even just a little bit more in there. There's another one. There's a phone commercial, and I forget what it's for. I really can't remember. And the line is something like, you get great rates. But I swear on my DM manual that it sounds like he's saying great rapes. I know that's not what he's saying, but to my ear, it's just, so maybe it's just me. Maybe if someone else has heard that, I'll have to find that and see if someone else can hear the same thing. But anyway, he's almost 2 years ago, and it could have been prevented. With almost 8% of the U.S. population currently diagnosed with diabetes, there's no time like the present to deal with this growing disease. I think I like the first take better in how I did that little transitional piece. And the other thing I just picked up was I popped 2 of my P's there. So for those who maybe are watching this and aren't aware of what that is, popping a P is, so letters like P, T, P, T, B, there's a lot of air being forced out. So if you don't have good, now you see when I'm talking right here, the microphone's here, but I'm always turned towards the monitor. So that helps, and with the pop filter here, it actually helps avoid a lot of pops, a lot of mic pops. So what the mic pop is when that, so there's a little diaphragm in the microphone that's vibrating with the sound of my voice and everything else that it picks up. And when I do the letters P or T or B, I'm forcing a lot of air through a very small part of my mouth. So, boom, a lot of velocity coming out. And if that hits the diaphragm, I'm going to move the pop filter out of the way, and I go P, T, B, you can kind of hear there's a pop in there, and it spikes, and it overmodulates. So good mic technique is right distance, having a pop filter, and being just off center. I don't want to be completely off center because then it changes the tone of my voice, but there, though, I popped 2 of my P's. The other thing to do is, as you're saying the P or the B or the T, is to actually very purposefully not force as much air out. You soften the P. So I would say that would be something I would not want to send in with 2 popped P's like that. Now, now, more than ever, we need your support to fund vital diabetes research and save the future of our children. Okay, so here, the 2 was a little too enunciated for me, but I liked the overall delivery on that. The end, the future of our children, I felt like it was a little rushed. I wasn't really happy with how that was. So, oh, there we go. All right. Did I do it? I thought I did another take on this. Let me see here. Let me see. No, that was it. So I did a third take. I don't know why it's not in this. I won't worry about it right now. Between the two, I think I had something decent I could have sent in for an audition. My notes for myself, watch those popped peas. I definitely need to slow down on some of those. I'm slurring some things together, and I really need to work on that. Better choices in the second take, I feel, with a few things from the first take I would have used. Yeah. I obviously need more work. I still do. I know something I've been struggling with is getting better auditions. Because I know I'm directable, because every time I've been directed, I've been told, hey, you take direction very well. So I know I can do that. It's getting to the point where I can be with a director, and that's the audition. And I need to make better, stronger choices in my auditions. I know that. I'm missing the mark. So the second read was better. I would want to... So aside from some of the technical things of the slurred words, yeah, I think I just need to make some stronger choices. So, overall, I would give myself, if I had to, between the two takes, I would say C+, maybe a B-. I don't know. C+, B-, somewhere in there, I think. So, yeah, I'm okay. It's all right. So what I'm going to do now is next week I'll have a new reading from the book of Tara and Yuri from Voiceover Voice Actor. I'll do another practice read, and we'll do another breakdown. And we'll just keep on. I'm going to keep on doing this because I think this is actually going to be good practice for me. If you have any questions for me about any of this, feel free to drop me a line. You can see in the video there, in the video description, we'll have all of my links for how to get in touch with me. And and my book is coming out, The Narrator's Guide to the Universe of Audiobooks, as you can see right there, is coming out on August 1st. This will be my first published book. It's self-published, but published nonetheless. I'm kind of excited. It's a really quick read. I would say you could read this in about an hour and a half to 2 hours in an afternoon, so a nice summer read, beach read if you're looking for something to read while you're just soaking up the rays one afternoon. And it just goes into basically my journey as an audiobook narrator and how that might benefit you, how you might be able to avoid some of the pitfalls that I ran into and fell flat into during the course of my time over the last 4 years, actually, of narrating audiobooks. So I hope you found this useful. Genuinely, I hope you found this useful. And let's see what happens next week. Have a great